Hello, everyone, and welcome to People Notes. My name is Michael Christian. Today is Saturday, June the 11th, 2022, and welcome to my channel. The topic of today is going to be a very interesting one. We're going to look at what's going on with the ownership of Ethereum. Now that Ethereum seems to be breaking this very important support line and going downwards versus Bitcoin. And let's see what's going on to the ownership of Ethereum now versus the past couple of times that we witnessed the exact same phenomenon, which were really in 2017 and 2018. So I'm going to be sharing with you my channel in a split second. Before I do that, just a full disclaimer, there's not financial advice. I am an investor in this space, in a cryptocurrency space, and I'm a retail investor, non-institutional. What that means is that whatever I'm sharing with you is what I'm doing personally. So don't do anything before verifying this with your financial advisor. This is not financial advice. So let's get started with sharing my computer screen so we can see exactly what's going on with what we're discussing here. So again, just a quick recap of what we did a couple of days back. We were looking at this Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart, and we witnessed that what we're living right now at this important support line of something around range of 0.06. It looks like this was broken already a couple of times in the past. So this is Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart. And the last couple of times that this happened in 2017, where this line was broken, and then Ethereum versus Bitcoin went all the way down to this point of around, which was something in the range of around 0.026. And then as Ethereum versus Bitcoin went up afterwards, it kind of hovered a bit in this range again. Then finally did the exact same thing, where this time it broke on July 28, 2018, went all the way down to the range of 0.026. And that time it actually went lower. So then it went all the way down to this range of 0.017. This is again ETH versus Bitcoin, meaning that each time that this was happening, as I looked at what was going on with the price of Ethereum during those time spans, we noticed obviously that that time span from let's say from the period of July 2017, where which basically, again, we're going back over here. July 2017 was over here. From here to here, what happened basically, this is from July all the way down to October. We saw that Ethereum's price versus Bitcoin went basically from something in the range of $218, and it went up to $315, right? So that means Ethereum was increasing in price, but Bitcoin was increasing a lot more. So that's why the Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart was actually going down. And what was going on from this other period when Ethereum went all the way down to 0.026 support line? Basically, this time the Ethereum price at approximately this date of December 4, 2017. Well, for this one at December 4, 2017, it looks like Ethereum's price had gotten to the range of something approximately at right over here. It was going to be in the range of around $480. So meaning that it had actually increased, even though Ethereum versus Bitcoin had decreased, because Bitcoin had increased a lot more. So now, what I'm going to look at today, during those windows, this was happening, where Ethereum was basically going lower versus Bitcoin. It was breaking these important support lines. What was going on with the ownership of the Ethereum tokens? So if you look at what's going on July the 10th, 2017. So on July 10th, 2017, the percentage of ownership of on Ethereum side. Now again, for this, I'm using the into-the-block, which is on-chain analysis. On-chain analysis is tricky. It doesn't have to be 100% accurate, because it could be manipulated with the investors going from multiple wallets to small wallet to less wallets and vice versa. That's what we do, is we take this, we look at it closely, but we got to take this with a grain of salt, because it's not going to be absolute accurate information. So if I look at this, what's going on July the 10th, 2017. So we observed that as far as the ownership was concerned on Ethereum, it was basically we are right over here. So around July the 10th, 2017, which is going to be, let's go with this date. Basically, we see that there was 15.85 million ETH holders. Investors were 30 million ETH, and retail was 47 million ETH. So what I mean percentage-wise, there was 17% of the ownership was whales, and 32% were investors, and 51% were retail. And how do these things get defined when into the block? Well, basically, whale concentration, what they do is like basically this concentration groups indicates shows the allocation and activity of the crypto assets circulating. And the way into a block defines these is that whales, they say, are those who have more than 1% of the tokens. Investors are 0.1 to 1% of the token, and retail are less than 0.1% of the circulating supply. So what that means is on July 10th, we had basically 70% of the ownership were whales, 32 were investors, and 51% were retail. Now, if I come and look and see what this was, July the 10th, 2017, it was over here where Ethereum versus Bitcoin was at this price point. Now, what happened when it dropped versus Bitcoin around this date of October 16, 2017? Now, if we go to October 16, 2017, what we know is that Ethereum's price had basically gone up from $218 to $315, but in the same period, Bitcoin had gone up from 1936 to 5,478. So that's why Ethereum versus Bitcoin was going lower, because Bitcoin was appreciating a lot more than Ethereum was. And if we look at see what's going on with the ownership on October 16, 2017, we notice that on October 16, 2017, the ownership had basically changed. So basically, the whales were now at 50% of the ownership. Investors were at 28%, and retail was at 58%, meaning that now all of a sudden, at this lower, at this point where Ethereum was performing worse versus Bitcoin, there was more retail that had come on board, and whales had actually sold a bunch of their tokens already. And we fast forward to see what had gone at over here, which was going to be now at this December 4th, 2017 price point. Now all of a sudden, Ethereum versus Bitcoin is actually performed even worse than the prior period. At this point of December 4th, 2017, if you go back to the into the block, and we're going to see that on December 4th, 2017, which is right over here, all of a sudden now there was actually more. Now there was more investors, more retail that had come on board. So at this price point, we see that the retail investors accumulated more tokens, and who had sold? Again, whales had sold. So meaning that whales had basically sold their Ethereum, and who had the investors had stayed the same, pretty much at the same amount of tokens as it was in a previous period. But now retail had 60% of the circulating supply. So now this is very interesting, because this was a for this one, if we compare this one to the next cycle, which is the one in 2018, in 2018, what happened was, we're going to see quickly now that as we observed again, this Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart, what happened basically on April the 30th, 2018. So which was around April the 30th, 2018, Ethereum versus Bitcoin was at this high point. It was at around, the support line was at around 0.08. And then what happened was basically on July the 30th, we were hovering around at this point here, which is at this major support line. And then it broke. And basically on December 10th, or Ethereum versus Bitcoin was all the way down here, and on August the 19th, Ethereum versus Bitcoin was all the way down here. So what's going on with this, as Ethereum versus Bitcoin was doing these drops, going from 0.08 all the way down to 0.06, all the way down to 0.026, all the way down to 0.017, what was going on with the ownership of Ethereum? So again, let's look at all this. Basically on April the 30th, 2018, which was something in the range of on into the block, we're right over here on April 30th, 2018. It looks like the number of ownership on the Ethereum side, as far as what's going on with the actual whales versus investors versus retail, it was basically 7% whales, 28% investors, and 64% retail. Now, if we fast forward, what had happened when, and this one again, if we observe on April 30th, 2018, on April 30th, 2018, we were basically at this price point right over here. So now, as we go all the way down, what happened? What changed from here to here on the ownership side? If we go back to this order, now again, this is going to be approximately at a date of August the 19th. So let's see what happened on August the 19th when Ethereum against Bitcoin had dropped all the way down to this support line of 0.017. If I come back here to August the 19th, 2019, we're going to observe that all of a sudden it's around here. Now we see that the whales have stayed the same. It was still at around 7% of the tokens, but the investors had actually accumulated. So basically in this drop, investors had actually accumulated. Now investors had more of the supply at around 32%, and retail had less of the supply, which was at around 61%. So that's pretty interesting, because as we observed the last time that this has happened in the previous cycle in 2017, retail had accumulated more of the supply. This time around, retail had all of a sudden less of the supply. So that's very interesting to pay attention to. Now, what happens now and this current period? Now, why is this very key? Because right now we are at this exact same price point again. Again, we're at the support line of 0.06. At this point of 0.06, what I've done here is basically I've looked at these different points. When Ethereum versus Bitcoin, which was approximately something in the range of December 28, 2020, when it was at 0.027, okay, then I looked at what happened to the ownership of Ethereum when we were at this point, which was at something in the range of December 6, 2021. Now all of a sudden Ethereum versus Bitcoin had gone up. Ethereum versus Bitcoin basically had gone up quite a bit from this period here. And then look at what's going on today, which right now we are breaking this 0.06 support line. So as we go over here into this period of December 28, 2020. So on December 28, 2020, as far as the ownership of Ethereum token was concerned, it was 15% whales, 25% investors, and 60% retail. And if you look at what happened on December 6th, so December 6th was what? December 6th was at this point here. And around December 6th, where Ethereum had gone from this point all the way up to this point, so December 6th, 2021, all of a sudden, we're going to observe that the ownership had actually changed. So on December 6th, now we see that there is more, there is now less retail investors, and there is now less investor caliber investors, but now there's more whales. So if you look at what's going on with December 6th, 2021, all of a sudden we observed that the whales had accumulated. So on December 6th, 2021, it looks like the whales have accumulated, and they are right now sitting on approximately 21% of the supply. Now, what's happened and who has basically sold some of their tokens? It's been the investor caliber, which is the mid-caliber owners, and also the retail investors. They've actually sold their tokens. And what happened basically today, or this week, basically, as we observe what's going on with June 6th, 2021, as far as the ownership is concerned. So if we fast forward all the way down to this week, which is the period of June 6th, we notice that now we have basically more whales. Now there's 22% whales, and there is 19% investors, and 59% of the tokens are held by retail. So this is really interesting stuff to conclude. This is interesting because what that means is that compared to the prior periods of 2017 and 2018, what we're seeing here, the difference is now all of a sudden is that in the 2017 period, as Ethereum versus Bitcoin was having this underperformance, the whales had actually sold a part of their tokens. And as what happened basically in 2018, when Ethereum versus Bitcoin was having this down cycle of underperformance, whales had stayed the same. And actually, the investor caliber, so the mid-caliber owners, had basically accumulated. But this time around, what's going on is we see this significant difference of all of a sudden, the whales have a significant amount more of the token of supplies of Ethereum at 22% versus what it was at 15% a little while back. So meaning that they're actually accumulating now with this time period, even though Ethereum is underperforming versus Bitcoin. So what does this mean? Do the whales know something that we don't know? And even though we're seeing this negative, very bearish, potential very bearish chart pattern with Ethereum, it doesn't seem to be phasing the whales as they're still accumulating quite a bit. So thanks so much for watching, everyone. and let's keep a very close eye on this or in the near future. Bye-bye.